Do you love feeling the fear of missing out? Well, live service gaming is just for you. From the bullshit battle passes that will disappear in 2 months, to the armor bundles and weapon skins that once are gone, they'll never return. Is there really anything better at this stage? The CEO of EA really shows their commitment to the gaming community and their stance on putting the player first.
And we came in and we said, okay, what's the most important thing? Who facilitates us to do the thing that we love, which is make games? And that was our player. And so we started every conversation for the longest time and continuing today with, okay, is this good for the player?
No, God!
I want to preface at the start of this video that this isn't just going to be me slating games and different developers throughout the entirety of this video. Of course, in this video, we're going to be talking about how all of this originated from, where the first live service came from, how it evolved over time, of course, what new games and big AAA developers have adopted from this system and turned to being very selfish and just greedy, in fact. This video highlights everything wrong with live service games in their current state and why gaming will never be the same again. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments, but without further ado, let's get straight into it. You could argue that live service games have been around for the longest time. When companies releasing games titled pre-releases or betas, it gives that company a bit of leeway if the player finds a bug, a glitch, an unbalanced mechanic, or anything visually just appalling. And the excuse is, of course, that it's not finished, and in future updates, it will be patched out. The idea of this is to add additional content into the game over time to, one, of course, always have an influx of new content, sometimes weekly, and two, to give the player a reason to come back and to buy new things in the store, and to, of course, try them out. The earliest example that, of course, I can think of is PUBG. Now, there might be other titles earlier than this, and some might say H1Z1, and some even might say CSGO, with obviously the weapon skins that you can literally gamble in-game. PUBG was where it really all started, and where this trend of Battle Royale and live services really came from. And it went downhill from there. PUBG was created and released on Steam as an early access beta in March 2017, with a full release being planned for December 2017. PUBG launched with a multitude of bugs, issues with gameplay, rubber banding, awful server performance. Oh, and who remembers the rendering in this game? It was literally like I was playing on a PS1 most of the time, especially those with the OG Xbox, which of course was the only platform you could play on at the time, as well the OG PS4. It would take literally 20 to 30 seconds for the buildings to load in around you, in which time if someone was on a more beefier console, you've lost that fight because theirs is loaded in twice as fast. Again, these issues would never have been accepted if the game was labeled or marketed as complete or finalized. Just take a step back for a moment and imagine if these same issues were present in like Black Ops 1 when that first came out. There would be an absolute outroar in the community if when you loaded into a map, guns, buildings, and different things wouldn't load in for another 30 seconds to a minute. How is this acceptable? But of course, after PUBG's sudden release, the game absolutely blew up, selling a whopping 70 million copies on PC and console, generating a shitload of cash. But taking a step back and looking at it retrospectively, it was fucking terrible. From the clunky gameplay mechanics to the terrible netcode, this game opened the door for the Battle Royale genre, and just the sheer fact that an unfinished product like PUBG, which was launched this badly, can still make a shitload of money and do extremely well. You already know big companies were eyeing this up. Fast forward 4 months, and this is where one of the biggest live services in the history of gaming were born. Fortnite. Like it or hate it, of course, Fortnite is an absolutely amazing example of a game which boasts an extremely large amount of content, which again generated a shit ton of cash. From daily skin and cosmetic releases, Epic were on top of their game. Or should I say pile of money at this point, because they were making stupid amounts. When the game first released, it was bare boned, with its original starting map, no character skins, the addition of building in game, which again no other game has ever done, so this was massively innovative at the time, and milking the Battle Royale cow for everything it had. I don't think at the time that anyone thought that Fortnite would be as big as it is today. And even on the side of this as well, this was the first time that we've ever seen a free-to-play game and live service at the same time hit the gaming industry by storm. I mean, this is as big as Doritos Crash Course back in the day, and with the FPS genre being a bit stale around then, because again, Call of Duty wasn't in the best of state at the time, and every modern FPS shooter was trying to copy Call of Duty's past, everything was just becoming very samey, and Fortnite really did a great job of going off track and creating something that we've never seen before, and even to this day is still extremely relevant. However, other than Fortnite's really good gameplay at the start, what we didn't realize is that it's kind of laid the foundation for all monetization systems in the games that we know and love moving forward from that point. And even today, everything from that time or from Fortnite we can see in games such as Battlefield, Call of Duty, Apex, even CSGO, Clash of Clans. Those sorts of things have adopted the same type of monetization scheme as Fortnite. So it's Fortnite's fault. Huge AAA developers even began to follow in their footsteps with this. Of course, H1Z1 becoming a free-to-play title, pissing off everyone that brought the game at full price, and even games like Destiny 2, going from a $60 title to a free-to-play title with just a year or so later. And I was one of those mugs that brought the game. In fact, I pre-ordered Destiny 2 and now it's free. Did I get a refund? I think we already know the answer to that. This just shows the impact that Fortnite had on the gaming industry at the time and even now to this day, and how successful a live service game could actually be. Straying away, of course, from the overdone DLC map pack monetization method or the paid DLC which divided the player bases. Fortnite also decided that all new weapons and content around the map would be completely free to new players. But of course, what we did have to pay for alongside this were things like weapon skins, new items in the store, etc. And for me, this was a good trade-off, especially because the game was of course free to play and everyone in the game could experience this at the same time. Also, you didn't have to buy the new store bundles if you didn't want to. You could literally just play with a base character and still be as good as anyone else who maybe spends $30, $40, $50 on skins. It doesn't matter. It's entirely up to you. And because the game's free to play, no one was really bothered by that. From dances, emotes, skins, axes, gliders, you name it, Fortnite has a skin for it. Every week, a new skin or set of items would be updated in that store, enticing the community to pull their credit cards out and wave them about to buy the new skins. Although majorly overpriced, people paid for it. And of course, things like the collaborations with Marvel, and even in Chapter 3, The Rock's in it. Like, bro, there's like Iron Man, we had all of the Marvel characters from the Avengers, we have Spider-Man coming into the game. There's just so much that will want to pull you in with Fortnite and make you want to have that Spider-Man skin or make you want to be The Rock. Honestly, they've absolutely smashed it out of the park. And of course, how could we forget? Fortnite also adopted a new way of doing things with having seasonal events and chapters, which was never done before at the time. So for example, Chapter 1, we would have Season 1, 2, and 3, etc. And then of course, when that season or chapter is over, there's usually a big event to mark that season being over, which again, people want to join these events, they want to be a part of them. And again, it's a really good way of pulling people back into the game. And because obviously these events don't take place every month, they're not very regular, they're of course attacking your inner FOMO, your inner fear of missing out. If I miss this event, I'm gonna have to wait another 3 months to go to another one. For example, there was a concert in game for some really famous artists, Marshmello being one of them, and it was just mad. They're like, how is that even a thing? And Fortnite have really done a good job of pulling you in and using your inner FOMO to not have to make you pull your credit card out, but just to make you enjoy the game and to think that I'm going to miss this amazing event, which is probably never going to happen again. Like that particular event, it will only be a one-time thing. And if I don't jump on right now, I'm going to miss it. So yeah, I've got to commend them. They've done everything in the right way. And the way they monetize their game is, again, you don't have to buy it. So I think Fortnite is a really good example of a live service game. And of course, we know that just a few games have tried to copy this monetization method. Okay, everyone, thanks all for coming to this meeting. Again, we need to discuss the new Warzone season that is coming in the next couple of months from now. So how do we make an event like Fortnite? I want something big. I want something grand. I want something that people's going to pull people back in. And I want this mode to be spoken about for years to come. What do we have to do? You, over there, go. Okay, why don't we just have 100 players that are joining the lobby, just constantly shoot at a train for 15 minutes for it then to blow up and the trailer plays? But surely that would just be really boring and take really little effort and see us receive some backlash around it not being very innovative? Exactly. My God, it's brilliant! This is why I hired you, son. Fortnite also introduced what is the norm nowadays, the Battle Pass. This was the first game to introduce this type of thing, and again, you'd pay a small fee of $10, which you could rank up to level 100, and unlock some really cool cosmetics and different things along the way. No ranking system, just the Battle Pass. They were rinsing the player base of money without them knowing it at the time. Reminds me of another game that I am quite familiar with. In 2018, Fortnite made a total of $5.4 billion from microtransactions alone. Bearing in mind, the game only came out in 2017. To put that into perspective, Call of Duty made $1.1 billion from revenue in 2018, and that was including sales and in-game purchases. That's a $4.3 billion difference for those that can't do math. And Call of Duty was a paid title between $60 and $120. It just shows you how well perceived Fortnite was at the time. As you can imagine, other AAA developers and companies seen the success of Fortnite and its new ways of working, Activision, and decided to adopt a similar way of doing things, but decided to miss out the most key and fundamental part as to why Fortnite was so successful and so loved by the people. Free to play. And did Activision make Call of Duty free to play that year? Black Ops 4 came out in holiday 2017 for its usual $60 to $120 price tag, depending of course on the version you brought, and it announced at the time that along with their bullshit pointless Black Ops Pass, which is essentially the season pass from previous years and an outdated monetization system, with this costing a whopping $40 extra, they were adopting an all-new seasonal approach, whereby each new season will have a battle pass, which is free of course, that you could rank up and gain free items alongside your normal in general rank. This was a really smart play by Activision. It generated them an absolute heap of money when doing this, estimated to around $500 million in the first 3 days of Black Ops 4's launch. From partnering with YouTubers to promote the battle pass to people, it would entice people to buy tiers with actual money and skip the hard work and the grind and just, you know, buy your way to the new content. This was the method used by Activision to show how easy it is for you to buy your way to the top. They would give these creators COD points to buy all of these new items and new tiers in the battle pass, just to show the consumers and the people watching their videos how easy it was to press X to buy the new tiers. The passes would typically be filled with shite no one really cared about at the time, but things like specialists and weapons would be locked behind these paywalls with no other way for you to get them other than hours and hours of grinding. So if you didn't want to spend the hours grinding, you could just put your credit card details in and rank it up that way. Along the way of ranking up this battle pass, I would sometimes get the feeling that it was made torturously painful to rank it up just so it entices you to think that I'm not spending any more of my time doing this, I'm just gonna spend the money and get it now. I mean, if there was an absolute meta weapon at tier 20 that I could just go ahead and buy instantly and absolutely dominating games, whereas I could spend 4, 5, 6 hours trying to grind and get it, what am I gonna really do if I really want that weapon? I'm gonna spend the $20, $30 to get it, which is crazy. Not to mention that the game was $60 or $120 if you bought the special edition, and then on top of that, I buy the Black Ops Pass, which of course was an extra $40. So if I'd bought the special edition of everything, and of course the Black Ops Pass, I could spend nearly $160 on this game, and then I've not even touched the surface of what I can buy in the game. So I can buy tiers, I can buy skins, I can buy all of this stuff. I could easily spend almost $200 to $300 on this game but when the year ends. Not to mention, Black Ops 4 was the first COD to really go balls to the walls with store bundles as well. Now I just want to make this clear as well that I'm not including supply drops or any past features like that. Again, this is just when the live service games started. Bundles after bundles after bundles. They even added a battle royale into Black Ops 4 because of the success the genre was having at the time. And of course, it only went downhill from there. Apex Legends was born, live service, battle pass and cosmetics. PUBG actually fully released battle pass and cosmetics. Rocket League, battle pass and cosmetics. Dota, Valorant, Clash of Clans, Warzone, Call of Duty Mobile, H1Z1, Dota 2, and even fucking Marvel Avengers. But the battle pass and monetization methods isn't the main topic of this video. Again, what do a lot of these games have in common at launch, which of course aren't common at the moment with their live service games? They were all mostly unfinished, unpolished, with little to no content in them at launch. Now I'm going to make this abundantly clear that I'm going to let free games off and cut them a bit of slack with this, because again, they're free. So I'm more lenient with them because I didn't spend $60 to get access to that particular game. So things like Fortnite, Apex Legends, Dota, Clash of Clans, stuff like that, I'm a little bit more lenient with them because again, I didn't pay for them. So again, it's more the paid titles I have a problem with in this video. I'm going to give you some examples. Modern Warfare 2019 launched with 9 maps and 28 weapons. That's one of the lowest amounts of content at launch a COD title has ever seen at the time. Want to know why this is? Because most of the in-game content was never intended to be finished at the time, because it was being treated as a live service game. This was abundantly apparent when weapons and maps that should have been in the game at launch were cut back to use as DLC content. The Spec Ops was an absolute fucking disaster. Luckily, the campaign was a masterpiece in this game because the multiplayer design was absolutely atrocious.
Overhead.
Why am I fighting him? I don't understand. Again, wow.
Let's think back to games like Modern Warfare 3. 16 maps at launch, 43 weapons at launch, a full campaign, amazing spec ops, survival 2 at the time, and a finished multiplayer with optional DLC packs in the near future. Another example is Cold War. I know that I'm using Call of Duty as an example a lot, but these are literally the best ways to show how crazy and out of hand this live service term is becoming in gaming at the moment. At the launch of Cold War, we had 16 score streaks. Seems a lot, right? Well, there should have actually been 20 at launch, but they were stripped back and used for DLC content. Again, the ones that were stripped back are the Harp, or better known as the VSAT, the Death Machine, the Strafe Run, and the Hand Cannon. Bearing in mind, all of these were in previous titles. They were held back from the game at launch to get people to come back during their new seasonal releases to play the game. This was, of course, the same with all the maps in the game as well. The game launched with 8 multiplayer maps. 8 multiplayer maps in a game which is focused around 6v6 combat in the multiplayer. Cold War now has over 27 maps, but 15 of those are remakes and remasters from previous games brought back over seasonal updates. Not to mention these maps, they weren't like from games that were 15 years ago, like from COD 3, COD 4, World at War, those sorts of games. They were from Black Ops 2 and above, pretty much. There may have been 1 or 2 from the original Black Ops, but the majority of the games, I think over half of the maps from Black Ops 2, were remastered into Black Ops Cold War. At this time, of course, everyone already hated and was bored of this game because of its absolutely grim skill-based matchmaking system. So who's gonna jump back on the game to play a ranked mode which could be even sweatier? Take Black Ops 2 for example. 57 guns are in that game across zombies, campaign, and multiplayer. 57 weapons at launch in 2012. Come on. Inside this as well, had 3 full modes, all finished and polished as well. An amazing campaign, probably one of the best in the series, the best zombies that I've personally ever played, and full league play with ranks and a fun multiplayer with a load of different maps to play and modes. With games like Call of Duty and even Battlefield 2042 to some extent, the games that we just have to buy and then have their piss poor monetization schemes stare us in the face for their entire life cycle. With free games like Fortnite, Apex, I can deal with it better because, again, as I always say, you don't have to buy the content they offer you. And again, I suppose this is similar to a paid game as well, but again, with Activision and other publishers locking things like weapons and different meta things behind these paywalls, it is seriously ruining gaming. So yeah, strip out the content and add it over time for the free-to-play game. No biggie at all. It will pull people back into the game and keep the player base engaged over those free-to-play titles. But it's when big companies try to do this with games we buy yearly and then still make it out to be good for the player.
Is this good for the player?
I spent $60 on Cold War for a game which, let's be realistic about it, is basically the same concept as the previous year, but just with less overall content. The trend that Call of Duty seems to be creating is that when a brand new game comes out with little content or no content at all, their previous game from the year before is just literally finished. So that's got loads of content in. So why would I spend $60 on a brand new game with no content when I could just play the one from the previous year that's now got triple the amount of maps, weapons, modes, and have more fun? It's probably the only franchise that can get away with doing that and still get people to buy the game. So of course, for the $60 I spent on Cold War, I'm now being drip-fed content for over that year to come, rather than having it all at once. And I mean, I've just now got to accept that I'm only going to get new updates over time, which sometimes can be every 3 months or so. For some people, this might be a good approach. People might like coming back every so often to try out the new stuff and then going MIA for a couple more months. But for me, I think this is just an excuse at trying to make the player base think that they've been put first. But really, it's the company profiting off the game's in-game content that should have been there from the beginning. Huge reason for this lack of content is, because I'm sure you've already noticed, the second Season 1 hits, a flood of new store bundles hit the shop. A fully blown battle pass and much more optional extras that you can purchase with money can be purchased along the way in game, and the store just lights up like a Christmas tree. Monetization in a game that already costs you $60+ is the company's top priority. The game's fun or longevity or replay value is just an afterthought to them at this point, because another game is coming out the next year that's essentially the exact same as the previous one or the one you're playing currently, and the cycle just repeats itself. Do you see the problem here? Taking a step away from the Call of Duty train after a moment, let's focus on Battlefield 2042, the game that was delayed for an extra month to become more polished and refined and launched in a worse state than the beta. The lack of in-game launch content was laughable, with only 2 all-out warfare modes, which are sometimes painful to play, 7 maps to rotate on, no veto system. The second mode being Hazard Zone, which uses the exact same 7 maps in its system as well to rotate on. And of course, Battlefield Portal, which just have a couple of extra maps here and there for different classic games, but still mostly using the 7 same maps of the previous 2 modes, which I paid $80 for in early access to try and enjoy and play before anyone else could, so I could get the upper hand on my rank, weapon levels, etc., and learn the game before the public can play the game. But I couldn't enjoy it because I couldn't barely play it due to the amount of glitches, crashes, and things preventing me from loading into the games, poor netcode promoting, wank hit registration, server issues, XP exploits, making Portal a pointless mode to play because there was no XP that you could have in it because it was patch day 1. The game launched massively unfinished, not just for content, but the feel of the gameplay, the netcode, hit registration, weapon balancing, vehicle play being OP, the maps being too big and open generally to not really have much fun on. I mean, come on, man, it doesn't even have a campaign or any PvE modes other than the 3 same modes already available to you, just against bots. Do I have to be wary about every single game I play or buy because it being labeled as a live service game, or because I'm scared to buy something straight away because of the issues that it may have? Halo Infinite is a free-to-play multiplayer game, which of course has just released, but again, the amazing gameplay is ruined by monetization methods. The game is again classified as a live service, meaning content will be drip-fed to us over time for however many years, and at the start it will be underwhelming, and probably later on in the year or so we're going to have loads of content in game that should have been there at launch, like a fucking progression system, man. What's been in gaming for over 15 years? How has that been overlooked and not added to a Halo game that's had ranks since Halo 2? But yet they've taken the time to have a fully blown battle pass and store bundles along with skins. It should have just been copied and pasted from MCC. That would have just been fine for now. It could have then been expanded on over time. They didn't have to keep that exact one, but just have something in the game. It would have been at least something they could have done. Again, for me, I feel like they've tried to copy Fortnite in this scenario. Fortnite has a battle pass, no leveling system. And again, the battle pass is essentially the levels on Fortnite. I think Halo have tried to do this in a way that they thought might have worked with the reception of Fortnite and of course with it being free to play. But with the history of Halo, that's never going to land. The term live service gaming doesn't leave a positive taste in my mouth at all. Every time I hear the term live service in a game I love, I instantly become worried because I know how they work. I know that I'm going to be drip-fed content over a long period of time, and it's going to piss me off even more when a feature comes into the game that I know that should have been there at launch, just because they wanted to make a quick buck. There's plenty of other examples out there that I could go into detail around their shitty monetization methods, but I feel as though that I may have got my points across in this video. Live service games in their current state, in my opinion, are ruining gaming in general. Developers allow and promote players to become bored of their game, to then pull them back with new content, which is going to cost them more than what the game is probably worth at the time. And most of the time, this content should have been at launch and isn't new at all. Stuff like the Harp and the VSAT in Cold War. It's been a staple of Call of Duty since Black Ops 1, yet Cold War had it as a seasonal DLC. This is the cycle of a live service game, and I'm absolutely sick of it at this point. Will I keep playing them? Yeah. Will I get bored of them and jump back on when there's new content? Of course. I'm not saying I'm going to stop playing live service games. I'm just saying that they could be done in a way that appeases to the gaming community better and a way that isn't scummy. And also alongside that, appease to the company and the business trying to make money. Guys, that is all for today. Let me know what you think down below and let me know your thoughts. And if you agreed with me, then do let me know in the comments down below. I'd be really interested to know. I'll be reading all of the comments about this as well. And yeah, just really interested to see how people perceive live service games and if you've agreed with me in any way. In summary, I hate live service games. I think they could be done right, and when they're done right, they're good. Again, Fortnite skins, extremely overpriced, but again, it's free to play, and it's done in a way where you don't have to buy them if you don't want to. Again, they could have things like level and progression systems, I know that, but again, as an example, Fortnite is a thing that appeases to the community, adds loads of new content to their game, is free of course, you don't have to buy things, and you can still have a lot of fun with it. Also go down the same route of earning things for free as well. Of course, the paid content is going to be more premium, but again, they do everything there and it appeases to an audience. Other games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, new games coming out, even Assassin's Creed is apparently going to be a new live service game coming as well. It's just scary what the direction that the gaming community is going in and how monetized things are going to become. But guys, have a good rest of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Speak to you all soon.